Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something that most people shy away from, but that every confident, emotionally intelligent woman should understand. When a man kisses you down there, it's not just about lust, it's about connection, admiration, and the silent language of desire that words can't capture. Because what happens in that moment isn't just physical, it's psychological, emotional, and deeply revealing of how he sees you. And you see, for many men, that act is about worship. It's about putting his ego aside to give, to please, to make you feel desired beyond measure. Men are taught their whole lives to chase power, to lead, to control. But when he's down there, that dynamic shifts. He's not taking any more, he's giving. And in that moment, he's showing something most men never express with words: respect, vulnerability, and fascination. He's saying, without saying, I want you to feel incredible. That's not just lust. That's admiration disguised as desire. But here's what most women don't realize. Men don't do this for every woman, because to do that, he needs to feel safe enough to let go of his pride. When he feels emotionally connected, when you've awakened not just his attraction, but his trust, that's when he becomes free enough to express himself this way. Men crave the kind of intimacy where they can lose themselves in a woman's energy without fear of being judged or rejected. It's when he feels your openness, your confidence, your willingness to receive without guilt, that's when he gives more. And this is where feminine energy becomes magnetic. When you can let yourself be adored without shrinking, when you can receive pleasure without apology, you communicate something powerful. I am worthy of this. That energy drives a man wild. Because the truth is, men are drawn to women who are comfortable in their own skin. When you let go of performance, when you stop trying to do it right or look perfect, and instead allow yourself to just feel, it shifts everything. He stops being in his head. You pull him into the moment, and in that moment, he's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about you, and men love to please the woman they're truly drawn to. It's primal, it's instinctual, but it becomes meaningful when he feels that what he's giving is being received fully. When he senses your pleasure, your surrender, your confidence, it ignites something ancient in him. It's no longer about technique or control. It becomes about emotion, about closeness, about knowing that his presence has the power to move you. And that's what men crave more than they'll ever admit, to feel significant in your world. When a man feels like he can touch not just your body, but your soul, that's when you awaken a level of devotion that no game or tactic could ever create. He starts seeing you differently. You're not just someone he desires, you become someone he reveres. But remember, that kind of connection doesn't come from neediness or performance. It comes from authenticity. It's when you own your sensuality without shame, when you allow intimacy to be an exchange rather than a transaction, that he feels something real. Because when a woman is truly in her feminine power, she's not begging for validation, she's inviting connection. And men can feel that difference instantly. And so when a man kisses you there, and you can meet that moment with trust, openness, and presence, you're not just letting him experience your body, you're letting him experience your energy. That's what he remembers long after. That's what he can't replace. Because in that space, he's not just loving you physically, he's surrendering to the emotional truth of what attraction was always meant to be: two people, fully present, giving, receiving, and losing themselves in something that feels like both pleasure and peace. And that's the part most people never talk about, the peace that exists in real intimacy. Because when two people are truly connected, it's not chaos, it's not performance, it's not a checklist of things to do or say. It's a surrender. It's a mutual understanding that this moment isn't about power or ego. It's about feeling seen, valued, and desired for who you are, not just how you look. That's what changes the experience from something physical to something soulful. And when a man goes there, what he's really communicating is fascination. He's captivated by you. He's exploring you not just with his body, but with curiosity, with intention. He wants to know how you respond, what makes you melt, what makes you sigh. And the truth is, he's not just learning your body, he's learning your energy. Because the feminine energy isn't logical, it's emotional, that it's fluid, it's intuitive, it moves, it breathes, it reacts. And that's what draws him in deeper than anything else. And see, men are constantly in their heads. They live in a world that tells them to control, to calculate, to conquer. But when he's with a woman who allows him to enter her world of feeling, who shows him what it means to just be. Something shifts inside him. For the first time, he doesn't have to think, he just feels. And that's rare for most men. That's why those moments become unforgettable. And what so many women don't realize is that this has less to do with physical pleasure and more to do with emotional safety. A man won't go to that level unless he feels accepted. If he senses judgment, shame, or hesitation, he pulls back. But if he feels that he's being met with trust, with gratitude, with openness, then he gives more, because that moment becomes a reflection of how safe he feels with you. When he senses that you're fully in it, that you're not holding back or second guessing yourself, it tells him he's enough. And that's the deepest affirmation a man can receive. And men crave that validation not through words, but through energy. They crave to feel that the woman in front of them is not just present, but free. And when he feels that freedom radiating from you, it awakens something protective, tender, almost reverent in him. It's no longer about satisfaction, it's about devotion. It's about wanting to make you feel seen and cherished in a way that words could never describe. And that's why confidence is magnetic. Not the loud kind that needs to be proven, but the quiet kind that says, I know who I am, I know what I deserve, and I am not afraid to receive. That kind of energy doesn't just attract, it transforms. Because when a woman is in tune with her own sensuality, it gives permission for a man to connect with his own depth. It invites him to show up differently, not as a performer, but as a partner. And there's a beauty in allowing yourself to be fully received. It's not about control, it's about trust. It's about letting go of the idea that you have to earn love or pleasure. When you let go of trying to do everything right and instead just be, you give him space to step into his masculine essence, the part of him that wants to give, to protect, to cherish. That's when the chemistry deepens, because now it's not two people performing roles, it's two people meeting each other as they are. And here's the secret most don't realize: the more connected you are to yourself, the more connected he becomes to you. When you love your body, when you're grateful for it, when you treat it as something sacred instead of something to hide or fix, that energy radiates. Men feel that. They sense when a woman is at peace with herself. They sense when she's not trying to be anything other than authentic. That authenticity is what keeps him coming back, not just physically, but emotionally. And because to him, that kind of woman is rare. She's not seeking validation, she's embodying it. She's not performing femininity, she's living it. She doesn't need to prove she's desirable. Her energy already tells the story. And when she allows him into that space, it's not an invitation to take, it's an invitation to connect. And so when he's there, understand this, it's not just an act of pleasure, it's an act of trust. It's his way of saying, I'm here, I want to know you, I want to give to you. And your power lies not in how you respond mechanically, but in how you allow yourself to receive. Because when you can receive without resistance, when you can be fully present and open in that moment, you're giving him something even more powerful than pleasure. You're giving him emotional truth. You're showing him that he's safe to love you deeply, fully, without walls. And that is what every man beneath his bravado and armor is truly longing for. And the truth is, that kind of emotional truth is rare. In a world full of distractions, filters, and performances, intimacy has become something people try to control instead of something they allow to unfold. But real intimacy can't be staged. It's not about doing things perfectly. It's about presence. When he's down there and you're not thinking about how you look or whether you're taking too long or what he's thinking, that's when it becomes powerful. Because now you're both out of your heads and inside the experience. You're both present in a space that feels timeless. And when you let go of the need to impress, you give space for connection to breathe. He doesn't need a perfect performance. He needs to feel your authenticity. Because what truly captivates a man isn't the visual, it's the emotional reaction. It's the sound of your breath, the way your body moves naturally, the energy you give off when you stop performing and start feeling. That's what pulls him closer. That's what makes him addicted, not to your body, but to the way he feels when he's with you. And every man, whether he admits it or not, wants to feel like he's the only one who can reach that part of you. He wants to feel special in the way he affects you. And when you allow yourself to fully experience pleasure, you give him that feeling of significance. You're saying without words, you make me feel alive. That's what bonds him to you. Because men may chase looks, but they stay for how they feel in your presence. And there's something powerful about a woman who doesn't hold back. A woman who knows that her pleasure isn't something to apologize for. It's something to embrace. That kind of confidence is electric. It doesn't shout, it radiates. And when a man feels that kind of energy, he steps into a different version of himself. He wants to give more. He wants to explore deeper. Because now he's not just giving to your body, he's feeding your spirit. And that's when the dynamic shifts completely. It's no longer about him pleasing you to prove something. It becomes about mutual connection. Two people existing in a space where giving and receiving flow naturally. That's where chemistry turns into intimacy. That's where attraction turns into devotion. Because when a man feels that his efforts lead to emotional closeness, it becomes more than pleasure, it becomes purpose. And many people think men are simple when it comes to sex, but they're not. A man who truly cares doesn't just want your body. He wants your reaction, your trust, your surrender. He wants to feel that he's entered a space no one else can touch. And when you let him experience that, when you show him that kind of openness, it triggers something deeper than desire. It triggers emotional loyalty. And men fall for the energy that makes them feel free to give. They fall for the woman who doesn't make them feel judged, who doesn't withhold emotion or affection as a strategy, because that kind of openness is rare, it's healing. It reminds him of what connection is supposed to feel like. He stops trying to impress you, and instead he wants to protect you. He starts to see you not as someone to conquer, but as someone to cherish. And here's what's beautiful about that. You don't have to do anything to create it. You just have to be. Be present, be open, be receptive. Because the more grounded you are in your own energy, the safer he feels to express his. The feminine invites, the masculine responds. And when that balance is right, it becomes magnetic, it becomes effortless, it becomes real. And when he feels that you're not chasing perfection, he relaxes too. He lets go of the need to perform. He stops trying to prove he's good enough and instead just connects. That's when he starts to show more tenderness, more care, more vulnerability. Because your acceptance of yourself gives him permission to accept himself. And what he loves most in those moments isn't just the act, it's the energy exchange. It's your presence that pulls him in. It's your confidence that keeps him there. And it's your softness that makes him stay long after it's over. Because it's not just about desire, it's about emotional safety disguised as physical pleasure. He might not even have words for it, but he feels it. He feels calmer, more grounded, more connected. And that's why he keeps coming back. Not for the thrill, not for the novelty, but for the peace he feels in your presence. Because that's what every man secretly longs for. To feel that he can lose control without being judged. To feel that he can give without it being taken for granted. To feel that he can express passion without fear. When you create that space, you're not just giving him pleasure. You're giving him permission to feel again. And in a world where men are taught to suppress, to harden, to hide their emotions, that kind of experience is revolutionary. It changes him, it grounds him. It makes him see you not just as a lover, but as the one person who makes him feel human again. And because when a man feels that sense of peace, it stays with him. He might go back to his routine, his work, his distractions, but something inside him shifts. He starts to crave that calm, that connection, that feeling of being truly accepted. It's not about the act anymore. It's about the energy he experienced, the way he felt free from pressure, free from expectation, free from judgment. That's the kind of energy that pulls him back again and again, not because of lust, but because it awakens something sacred in him. And men are not often given permission to be gentle. The world tells them to be tough, to hide emotion, to lead with confidence even when they're uncertain. But in moments of intimacy, when a woman's energy says, you don't have to perform here, that armor falls away. He finds relief in that softness. He finds truth in that stillness. And in that space, he's not trying to prove anything. He's just being. That's why intimacy can be so healing when it's built on emotional openness instead of physical expectation. And when he's with someone who welcomes his vulnerability, he starts to open up in ways he never thought possible. He begins to feel safe expressing affection, safe showing care, safe being emotional. He might not even understand why he feels different, but he knows that around that kind of woman, he's more himself. And when a man feels more himself with someone, he associates that feeling with love, because love isn't about excitement. It's about comfort, depth, safety, and freedom. And so many women underestimate the power of their presence. They think they have to say the right thing or look a certain way. But what truly moves a man is how he feels when he's around you. If your energy makes him feel calm instead of pressured, seen instead of compared, wanted instead of used, that's when he connects to something deeper. Because now he's not just drawn to you, he's grounded by you. And that's the beauty of feminine energy. It doesn't chase, it doesn't demand, it invites. It says, you're safe here. And that message, when it's genuine, cuts deeper than any physical act could. Because most men are starving for a kind of love that doesn't ask them to be perfect. They crave a place where they can rest emotionally, where they can give without feeling depleted. And when they find that in a woman's presence, it changes how they love. They start to lead differently. They start to protect differently. They start to connect differently. And in those moments of intimacy, it's not just his lips or his touch. It's his energy communicating something. It's his way of saying, I trust you with my vulnerability. That's not something he gives lightly. That's something earned through consistency, softness, and emotional depth. Because when a man feels emotionally seen, it unlocks a new layer of connection. Suddenly, he's not just being intimate for the sake of it. He's being intimate to express gratitude, to show reverence, to build closeness. And that's what makes it unforgettable for both people. Because when it's real, it's not about who's doing what. It's about how it feels. It's two people exchanging energy without needing to speak. Two people allowing their guards to drop, not because they planned it, but because they can't help it. That's when intimacy becomes spiritual. That's when it stops being something you do and becomes something you are together. And the truth is, a man falls deeper, not through performance, but through presence. It's when he feels he can give without fear, when he senses that you're not comparing or calculating, that he feels safe enough to go all in. And that's when emotional connection fuses with physical chemistry. He starts to crave not just your body, but your energy. Not just the experience, but the emotion behind it. And he remembers the way you made him feel like he could breathe. He remembers the way time seemed to stop. He remembers the feeling of being enough without having to try. That's what makes a man fall deeper. Not perfection, not technique, but the emotional atmosphere you create when you're simply being yourself. Because in a world full of noise, that kind of authenticity is rare. And when he finds it, he doesn't forget it. He might try to replicate it elsewhere, but it won't feel the same. Because what he's searching for isn't just pleasure, it's presence. It's the kind of energy that feels like home. It's the moment he realizes that connection isn't about control, it's about surrender. And once he's felt that kind of surrender with you, no surface level thrill can compare. And that's why when a man truly gives himself in that way, he's not doing it out of obligation, he's doing it out of devotion, because something inside him recognizes that the moment isn't about power, it's about peace. And when he feels that peace, when he feels accepted exactly as he is, that's when he starts to love differently. That's when intimacy becomes not just physical, but emotional truth shared between two souls who finally stop performing and simply start being.